You're very welcome to echo Orla's welcome to you here on behalf of Coillte. My name is Daithi de Forge. I'm the head of recreation in Coillte, and I'd like to welcome you all here to Beyond the Trees Avondale, our premier flagship visitor destination in Ireland, and the first of hopefully many in a very fruitful partnership, strategic partnership with Coillte Ireland. What I'm going to do, no presentation. Thanks. That's great. Just to explain today as well, we've compressed today into one group. I'm taking you right through to have you all on the road out of here at 2:30. And of course we've kept the treetop walk, the tower and the slide right till the very end to keep your appetite whetted as we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some insights around the genesis, the inception, the ideation around Avondale and how it came together, rather than sort of be data heavy in terms of my presentation. What I'll do is I'm just going to move quickly through some of this, give you a sneak peek of what's out there, and then take you back about 4 or 5 years to how this project came about. Okay, so what's playing here currently is a video piece we put together for our website when we opened Avondale House, the Charles Stewart Parnell's family home here on site to guided tours. That happened last March. So this was just a nice video piece we put together, mainly focused on the house. You won't get to see the inside of the house today because the key focus for us as outdoor recreationalists, professionals, is that piece of the treetop and tower. But it just gives you an oversight, some drone footage of the site. Here is Avondale House at the centre of the park, and it'll take you through some of the scenes from inside the house. So as it moves through that, just to explain some of the history of the estate, the Avondale Forest Park was one of our first forest parks. All of Coiltte's forest parks, the 13 parks, were opened in the 1970s and 80s. They were seen very much as sort of that era. They comprised of places to park your car, have a tea and take a pee, isn't that what they say? And that was and some nice walking trails. Nothing too strenuous now, mind, because that was where outdoors was at that stage. And really, I suppose, in terms of what Avondale had as in the forest park of that era, became very, very tired through the 1990s. People's interests had moved on, and we realised we have a lot of these places that are really unpolished diamonds. How can we make them work again? How we made it work again was really interesting, because it was ourselves and Coillte Ireland, through other forums we were involved in, starting to talk to each other about, you've got great assets. We're the largest landowner in Ireland. We have very significant asset base, which is heavily used by locals and visitors. But Coillte Ireland's then key strategic direction in terms of tourism products, how can we marry the two together? And in 2017, we signed the first strategic partnership agreement with Coillte Ireland, and it's that sort of classic Venn diagram of where both our interests lie in the middle. That's where the strategic partnership engages. And as a result of that strategic partnership, we did a full trawl across all of our key asset bases around the country. We looked across 40 different criteria against about up to 200 sites, and Avondale emerged as number one. And that was when we decided, right, let's now look at some better ideation for what we might do in Avondale. Again, I'm just scrolling through some pictures of what you're going to see out there, whetting the appetite again for later on. 90-metre circular slide. Everybody has to do it. You're getting a free slide pass today. The weather is good. It's open. It closes in rain, but it's open today. 90-metre spiral slide. It's not as daunting as it looks, but it is the highest and longest slide in Ireland. And look at the smiles at the end of it. Avondale House, of course, at the core of the estate here, right in the heart. Really interesting history to to Avondale Estate. It was originally built by the barrister called Samuel Hayes, but Samuel Hayes had a huge interest in all things silviculture, all things forestry, all things woodland. He imported exotic species from all over the world and planted them here. And in fact, Avondale, to us as foresters, this is our mothership. This is where Irish forestry started in Avondale in 1903. And in fact, the formation of Irish forestry actually predated the formation of the Irish state as we know it today. So very long history. And then it moved from Samuel Hayes' era in the 1700s into Charles Stuart Parnell and all that he did, his vision for a new Ireland in the 1800s. So huge amount of history layered in Avondale. And these are again some images of the interior of the house, the fabulous dining room, moving through Parnell's library and telling the story of Parnell and his family. But then of course we built on top of that, all of that fabric, the contemporary fabric you see now, which are the new visitor buildings, the Seed Cafe where we'll have lunch, and all of the pieces that make a visitor destination like this work. The Coillte Pavilion, you might get the opportunity to look into, which is right beside the Seed Cafe in a new building. This is where we tell the story of forestry and bring that to life in a really engaging way. Hugely important for family groups to come here, of course, the playground, which is strategically located directly in front of the cafe. Line of sight from the coffee table to where the kids are playing in the playground. So state-of-the-art playground. All sitting within the old walled garden of the house. And lots of work done throughout the walled garden. Loads of old built heritage right throughout the site. But coming on to what I want to focus on really is really around this piece of work here. Partnership. Partnership was the key in developing Avondale. And I'm going to take you through a little bit of how that worked. So I mentioned the strategic partnership that Coillte and Coillte established back in 2017. That was the genesis, really, of us starting the exploration across all of our sites and landing on Avondale as the one that we wanted to do more with, the first of those projects going into the pipeline. One of the key things here is we set right from the very start was, let's be really ambitious here. Let's develop a flagship tourism destination of significant scale. And that's what we set out to do. What are others doing and who's being innovative in that space? And you'll see as I take you through some of the early concept drawings, how we ended up with what we have here now. Guest experience is absolutely key, and that's really, really important. We pride ourselves in terms of the Google ratings, the TripAdvisor ratings, which we monitor and measure. They're part of our KPIs in terms of customer feedback and guest experience, all about Avondale. And those scores are very, very high, and we maintain them high. So that's absolutely key. In developing that, we created a new brand, a brand called Beyond the Trees. And the Beyond the Trees brand, which is owned by Coillte, is the brand that will travel throughout the new destinations that we will build over the coming years. And it's what we trade under here. So if you're looking, as a member of the public, as a visitor to Ireland, Beyond the Trees Avondale is what drives the content, all of the social media content, how you get access to ticketing, find out what the whole place is about, and explore what there is to see and do here. So one of the key things about the partnership with Coillte Ireland was, we're foresters. As myself and Dave Liddy like to say, if you cut us, you'll get annual growth rings inside us. We're a company in Coillte, or were certainly a number of years ago, a company of foresters and engineers. What do we know about visitors? What do we know about tourists? And I joke you not, a lot of our old trailhead signs will say things like, "You're welcome to Rathdrum Forest." Here you will see all kinds of specimens of Pychaea sitchensis, Fraxinus excelsior, because that's what we knew. And sure, obviously the public would be interested in that. As Orla said, it's not that exciting if you present it in that way. But by bringing the visitor lens in and actually looking at everything through the visitor lens, we really changed how we interpret these spaces. And this was the very first report that was done in 2017. Through Coiltte's contacts and casting out to the market, we brought on board an architect-led design team, but they very importantly inside in there had storytellers, interpretation specialists, people who understood tourism development and visitor experience. And that's what we created first of all, was an interpretation and visitor experience plan. What's the core theme of Avondale? What are the stories that you want to tell? And what are the touch points that people are going to look, see, smell, feel, do when they get here to tell those stories and to actually get across the message we want to give to the public. So that was the starting point of the whole lot. And as we worked our way through that mining of data and all of the insights that those specialists brought to us, they said, you know what? The real key about Avondale, and I've explained some of the history from the 1700s and Samuel Hayes' early pioneering days of forestry, through Parnell and the political turmoil and the vision he had for the future. That's what they came up with as the key theme. Avondale is a place of visionaries. Visionary and inspirational people have sown the seeds of Ireland's future. So that was the core theme. But they were clearly then, if that's the tree or the roots of the tree, the two branches were the political vision, but also the visions of forests. So the two sub-themes that were created were Avondale was home to Charles Stewart Parnell, Ireland's greatest politician and national hero, okay, and his vision for a new Ireland. But then the vision of forests. Everybody who plants a tree has a vision for future generations. Past visionaries have given us trees of Avondale and the start of the new forests of Ireland. And again, that was translated right through into the early 1900s, where this became the forestry school for Ireland, and existed as a forestry school here in Avondale for many years. So that was a really interesting way to start the whole genesis of the project. Lots of detail here, you're not going to be able to read it, but just exactly what I've said. We had a core theme and we had two main themes we wanted to explore. We created a series of sub-themes to support those. And then really importantly, what are the visitor touch points? What are you going to see and do and hear and smell and engage with and enjoy here in Avondale Forest Park at Beyond the Trees Avondale when you come here as a visitor for the first time? And that was the start of the whole genesis of the project. As we go through the next, the master planning, which is currently underway for a number of new destinations as well, we'll be working our way exactly through this, because this has made sense. This has led to the kind of visitor experience feedback that we're hearing by building it on this type of foundation. So what do we mean by that? We mean by touch points that are real and tangible, so what people can explore and do based on the data that we had. Here in the centre, I think I have a pointer here, yeah. This was Samuel Hayes' book, a treatise on forests, a treatise on woods, a book dating that he wrote in the 1700s, which is here and on display in Avondale House. So all of the detail, the historical detail that was built into the project. And of course, some of these most incredible species that you'll experience as we go out on the treetop walk today, which Samuel Hayes planted. Some of those species are still standing here. They were planted in the middle 1700s. All of the data that we mined from the old forestry school, which all feeds into the forestry story that we tell both in the Coillte Pavilion and also in the forestry room, set up as the classroom was in the main house years ago. So there's that connection, that tangible touch points that people can see and explore and understand the historical data for those who are interested. But there's also the more intangible, the immersive experiences here as well. And, appealing to the sort of hearts and minds, the artistic influence, and those sensory things about forests. We heard yesterday from Joe about mental health and well-being benefits, which are hugely important in woodlands and forests. how can we explore those more here in Avondale as well? So there was both, as I say, the sort of data factual piece, but also that much more sensory immersive experience as well. So taking all of that, we started to explore the early concepts. And we knew, because of the topography of Avondale, and we're here at sort of one of the high points, it descends down into the Avonmore River Valley, which presents a brilliant opportunity for us if we created something like these pictures here, you know, building some kind of a walkway to actually get out into, below, into and above the trees. So that's what these early concepts were. Oh, sorry, let me go back up. These early ideas here of getting underneath the ground, you know, tunneling under the ground, exploring the roots, the soil, you know, everything that gives foundation to the forest, and exploring then as we get right through the trees and above the trees, what might that look like. So as I say, these were some of the early concept designs. Now, what happened at that time as well was, I'll come back to this one just again, is this other piece here, partnership, being absolutely key. So we've got the state tourism body, the state forestry body, but what are other people doing? And it just happened around that time of the concepts coming together that we went to, some of you might know Eustafar, the European state forestry companies who come together once a quarter right across Europe. We went on a trip to Germany, to southern Germany, to Eustafar, and as a part of the outdoor experience, they introduced us to EAK on one of their treetop walks over there. So, like Bull Moment, they are, you know, in and above the trees. Within 2 weeks of that visit, their CEO was over here, and within 2 weeks of that, we signed heads of agreement to start exploring the idea of EAK coming on board as a partner and working with us on developing the treetop piece. EAK are a German company. They're a publicly listed company on the German Stock Exchange. They own, operate and manage 13 treetop walks and towers right across Europe and one in Canada. This was their 12th site that they built, so they came on board as private partners to establish the treetop walkway and tower here on the site. I won't play the video to show you their other sites, but this is one of their sites in Europe as well. All of the towers and treetop walkways are slightly different in terms of shape and activity, so really, really interesting piece. Some of the sort of, a bit of data then, this was a €19 million investment between Coillte, Fáilte Ireland and EAK. EAK then established an Irish entity, EAK Treetop Walks, UK and Ireland, based here in Ireland. But we've had continual capital investment since we've opened as well. We've invested in Avondale House and all of that experience. What you see here is something that we're only opening to the public right now in terms of a bookable meeting space as well. And this is really just a precursor to what a second, more developed events and conference space might be. We opened to the public in June 2022, and we hit the perfect storm of people only starting to get moving again post-COVID, an absolutely fabulous summer, so for an outdoor destination like ours, great weather, and the President visited to open the site 2 weeks after we actually opened the doors to the public. That went out on the evening news on TV, which everybody in Ireland watches, the 9 o'clock news. And literally that weekend, from that weekend on, we were inundated. The site has a capacity of somewhere between 3,000 and 3,500 visitors per day. We were at 6,000 visitors a day directly after that. We were literally maxed out. So you can see that, like, in that first 6 months of 2022, we had 267,000 visitors. Our target for the first 12 months was 250,000. And you can see that, you know, in 23, just last year, we were up to 367,000 visitors through the front gate. Not all of those, you know, buy the ticketed elements in terms of treetop walk and tower, because lots and lots of people come here, you know, to enjoy the wider park as well. 95% of our visitors are currently domestic to island of Ireland, but that's going to change because all of the engagement that we're doing and working with through, as Orla had mentioned, Mehel was on down in Killarney, so meeting the international buyers, bringing in the international tour groups, so that is going to change, and our target is to move to 40% international by 2032 here on site. Visitor experience, absolutely key. And we maintain those very high ratings all the way through. One of the key pieces that you'll see here is accessibility and sustainability. From the minute you land in the car park, if you are a wheelchair user, you can get access from the car park all the way through the entire experience across the treetop walkway and to the very top of the tower. It is fully accessible. And we worked with Age Friendly Ireland to create something which is exactly that, accessible to everybody. And by also incorporating a changing place here on site, which are the changing facilities for those with profound disability, we have seen a massive number of less mobile visitors coming to this site. So we're very proud of that, and we won the award for the first age-friendly visitor destination in Ireland, and we think it's actually a global first, and we're looking into that at the moment. Again, accessibility and sustainability covers all aspects of what we do here, especially in terms of our operation. At our heart, of course, in Coillte is built with wood. All of the new buildings showcases our wood products. But everything that we do, from solar PV, thermal heating, and all the rest, we are a very significant local employer. We employ 78 positions. That's 47 full-time equivalents at the moment. Locally sourced menus, sustainable menu, and we work with lots and lots of community groups, local schools, men's sheds, lots of local groups. Really, really important. We host Park Run here every weekend. And always constant development, not resting on our laurels. This is a picture of our government had their cabinet meeting here in the last September, the first meeting back after the recess. And again, that brought another sort of whole layer of publicity to the site. And the meeting house venue, which we've just opened and is now bookable on the engine, tell all your colleagues, it's a place to come for your off-site day. And the whole event programme that drives the animation behind the site to build out at those shoulder periods. And we had a fantastic event that ran through last December right through to mid-January, the Treetop Nightlights event, where we lit the treetop walkway. And that was an amazing experience, where you're out in darkness, or rather at night time, above the trees, right up to the top of the tower. So that was a really, really great event, and one that we will run every year. What's next for Avondale? Well, that's what we're exploring at the moment, and the idea of working through some more of the old buildings that are here, perhaps events and conference space development as well. Okay, that's it. That's the sort of insight, I suppose, and the background to Avondale. So I won't ask you if you have any questions now, because we'll have lots of time for that, either at the end of the session or when we head out. Okay, that's it. Good night.